if I ask ChatGPT to make this app, it's going to default to what? React and Next.js kind of thing, because that is modern knowledge of what it knows. The thing that hurts LLMs the most with current JavaScript iterations of Next.js, React, that kind of thing, is usually they are always like 1 year out of date. I honestly think Laravel is probably one of the better options for LLMs right now, and I think Rails probably like fits this as well, mostly because things don't change.
So AI boom happened, right? And everybody's talking AI, everybody's talking LLMs, and there's a bunch of developer tooling in that direction that is appearing everywhere, right? A significant majority of it all is happening in the JavaScript ecosystem. So what are your thoughts on like what it's going to do to the PHP ecosystem? And have you seen any AI movement in that ecosystem at all?
Yeah, no, great question. I think one, it's a lot better than most people think. So usually when people say, if I ask ChatGPT to make this app, it's going to default to what? React and Next.js kind of thing, because that is modern knowledge of what it knows. But LLMs are still really good at seeing past context of like documentation and stuff like that. And I'm willing to bet, just because I've been there, that most of the time the thing that hurts LLMs the most with current JavaScript iterations of Next.js, React, that kind of thing, is usually they are always like 1 year out of date. And so then it's like, oh, I don't want Next.js app router. I want Next.js, or I don't want Next.js pages router. I want app router, that kind of thing. And then you have to feed a documentation, context 7, whatever you might do. There's a lot of tools now that help with that. But right. I think one thing that Laravel has shined within AI, and I think it's only going to consistently get better, is the fact that a lot of stuff has not changed within Laravel for years. It has been consistent for 10 years plus of how to do things. Of course, there are some new additions that's like, oh, you could make this whole 10 lines of code 1 line of code because there's now a helper for that. But it doesn't change how it works. And so I think that's been...
It would still work. Today's episode is sponsored by Inbound, my own product. Inbound is the best way to send and receive emails, all through a super developer-friendly API and SDK. You can set up webhooks on email addresses to trigger certain actions, or even integrate with your existing AI platform. Try it out today at inbound.new.
Yep, exactly. It would still work. It wouldn't necessarily might look the best code, but it still works. It still functions. And if you're doing something like React on the front end, then you have the ability of LLMs to work with that. I think the piece that hurts right now, and Laravel official has a project coming out to even help with this, is usually it's like the newer pieces that you want, that is like up-to-date documentation. It's like inertia 2.0 stuff that you want to do more WebSocket or real-time event type stuff. And that's like in the last year. So LLMs, unless you feed it that documentation, are not very good with that. But there's a package coming out pretty soon. It was just announced at Laracon called Laravel Boost, which is basically an easy way to interact with AI, regardless of what AI you use or LLM you use, what provider you use. It will find what packages you're using within your Laravel project, and then bring in that documentation, bring that documentation locally for then your AI to use and to peruse and to make it better. So I honestly think Laravel is probably one of the better options for LLMs right now. And I think like Rails probably like fits this as well, mostly because things don't change.
Right. They're more of like an industry enterprise framework, and you can't really be having like breaking every version release. Nope. And if there is, you're only on like version 2 of if there's like 30 versions. So yeah, I definitely believe that the one thing that, because AI really can't grow any better, it's just all about context now. It's like about if you have the relevant context for everything. And the boost stuff definitely would be of great assistance, because then that way it's like it auto grabs. It's like context 7, but like auto, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's super helpful. But yeah, that's cool.
Really, really curious though. So would you recommend people learn Laravel if you're looking for their first ever software development job?
It's a great question. It's one that sparked a lot of debates. I'll kind of put it this way. If your goal is to literally do nothing but to get a job, then I would say find the language that is close to the jobs around you, especially if you're a new developer. A lot of people hate this, and I only have worked remote tech jobs, but most jobs are not remote, or most like jobs that you're probably able to get as a junior developer are probably not remote. And so I would literally, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona. Most of the companies around me in Phoenix, Arizona are probably using something like Java or C#. If I would say find just search for software developer jobs around you. And if it was all in Java, C#, I don't know, .NET, then just learn that. If your whole focus is, I just want a job so I can do this. I think as a caveat, depending on your ability, or not even ability, depending on how your brain functions, a lot of people like to learn multiple things side by side. Of hey, I'm going to learn Java, but I'm also going to learn JavaScript, and I'm also going to learn how to, build a 3D printer by myself. All things. Usually some people just like to stay on one track. I would say it's beneficial to learn multiple things at once when it comes to software development. And so I would be one of those persons that okay, you're learning the language to pass a job interview for whatever job is close by you, but learn Laravel or something like it so that you can know all the pieces that connect to a full stack application. You're going to just blow your employer's mind out of the water when you're hey, this is, a snippet of code of Java of how to do this. But if I was in an application, I would need this router to then push this to a queue. And if you can automatically talk about how each part of a application works, then you're going to go great. And I think Laravel's taught me that because it's all involved.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
If I was, it's just another caveat to that caveat. If I was someone who was I just want to build products that I can make money on the side, and maybe you are fine with your day job that's either a developer job or something else, I think Laravel is a perfect option for that, because it gets you from start to finish so fast that you're not worrying about, okay, I need to learn 15,000 different tools and packages to get this one SaaS put together.
If you could give yourself one piece of advice 10 years ago, what would it be?
The piece of advice